Hi, today we're doing training for Art Vista 5th grade set B, Asymmetrical Compositions. In this project, let's look at the samples that you'll bring to the classroom for it. It's an oil pastel painting, so you can bring these bins of oil pastels. I usually recommend at least 2 bins per table, so if you have 5 tables in your classroom, then you could bring 10 bins, so you have 2 bins on just in the middle of the tables for the kids to pick which oil pastel colors they need. Also, it's good to bring hairspray to the classroom and some newspaper. Usually after the oil pastel has been done, we kind of set it because it smears and smudges after the fact if we don't spray a very light coat of hairspray on it. Just very light, not to get it too wet, but that will set your oil pastels. That again should be done outside of the classroom on some newspaper.
By a helper.
Can help you with that.
Yeah. Not by kids.
Yeah, the kids don't do that, the helpers do that. So to begin this project, make sure we use the 10 by 16 piece of paper. So this is a large piece of construction paper cut 2 inches down on each side to make it 10 by 16. That way, if the child chooses this picture to be put into the art show, it can be mounted onto a larger size black or colored piece of construction paper with a 1-inch border all the way around. So the first thing to do is have the kids write their name on the back of the paper because they're going to cover the whole other side with oil pastels. For this project, it's a little bit different. You're trying to get the kids to think a little bit out of the box. Usually, when we look at paintings and talk about the paintings, we talk about the symmetry. Is this painting symmetrical or asymmetrical? So symmetrical might mean that there's something large in the middle and both sides of the painting are pretty equal as far as the balance of them. In an asymmetrical painting, you have the subject on one side of the painting, and it's heavier in a sense, you know. On the other side, you might have something looking off in the distance, that the subject is looking at something off in the distance. So that's the meaning of asymmetrical. The main subject is not going to be in the middle of the paper, it's going to be on one side of the paper. So you can tell them it could either be here or down here, but somehow it's not in the middle. It's heavy on one side with the subject looking at something else. So an example of that might be a large butterfly on one side, and there's a flower in the background. So the butterfly would be large and detailed and bright, and the flower might be smaller and less detailed, because we've always talked about distance, and things in the distance are smaller and less detailed. So let's look at some examples of this project. It's good to bring samples into the classroom, so when you're bringing your supplies from the Art Vista closet, also bring a sample folder for this. And let's look at some of the different examples. So this is just to show that a docent had done a quick sketch to show what an asymmetrical picture is. Here you have a cat looking off at a mouse going into a mouse hole in the distance. And another similar one. They could do landscape or portrait, having the paper sideways or up and down. And here you have the dog looking at the cat. So these are great examples to show the children of how it's asymmetrical. And here's another example, a horse looking at a small house off in the distance. That's a great example of asymmetrical. And then here's that butterfly we talked about looking at some flowers on the other side. So the idea is that the subject is larger on one side, but you're still creating balance in the picture because you have something else on the other side that relates to the subject. So in a sense, it does balance out, although it's asymmetrical because this one side has got more of the subject on it. So for this one, you don't need to demonstrate it as much, but you do need to really explain that so the kids get a sense of what it is that they're going for. So the samples really help, and if you want on the whiteboard or so, you can draw some examples of like the dog looking at the cat or some different ideas like that. You might even question the kids, what are some other things that we might like to use for asymmetrical? Maybe you have a football player throwing, and then you have a football off in the distance or something like that. Have them come up with some ideas to give everybody good ideas on what subject they might like to use for this picture. So It's really fun. I hope you enjoy it.